Hey guys, Ryan here, and Greg is out this week, but he will be back next week. Now let's dive into episode 9 of American Horror Story Hotel. It's called She Wants Revenge. Now, before we get started, guys, be sure to check out our GameSpot store for some cool play-for-all merchandise, including face masks, t-shirts, hoodies, and even an awesome skateboard. It's all for a good cause, too. Until the end of August, all proceeds are going directly to charity to help us raise money for Black Lives Matter and COVID-19 direct relief. Be sure to check out our play-for-all merchandise at the GameSpot store. That is store.gamespot.com. I think Finn's favorite is this play-for-all hoodie. Don't tear it up, Finn. Alright guys, the title of this episode is She Wants Revenge. Now it's important to note that there are a handful of characters in this episode and the season that may want revenge, right? We're talking about Liz Taylor, Ramona Royale, and of course the Countess. And that's fitting because she's the first person that we see in the frame as the episode begins. But the title is also a reference to the band She Wants Revenge, who sing Tear You Apart. Now that song should ring a bell. As it turns out, Lady Gaga specifically selected this song as her introduction into the series premiere. Now, this opening provides some context into how the Countess is feeling after, the news is revealed that her lovers, her past lovers, have been secretly locked away in the secret wing of the hotel, unbeknownst to her. She felt that she was in control this whole time, but lo and behold, James March had some tricks up his sleeve. In truth, the Countess has been living a lie, and this is completely earth-shattering for her. But in this moment, she's even more determined to take complete control over her life now. Moving forward, if I were James March, I would definitely look out. Oh yeah, also Will Drake. Watch yourself because, she's planning to marry you and then kill you. And that brings us to some nice, romantic wedding planning.
If you want something intimate, then that's what it'll be. This is your wedding.
I thought this one moment between the Countess and Liz was completely strange and weird because the Countess asks for Liz's help to get some flowers delivered for the wedding. Don't you remember that you just killed Liz's love of her life? You think she's actually going to help you for the wedding? I think Liz's reaction is perfect here.
Buy your own damn flower.
You agree with me, right, Finn? By the way, we also learned that those little cute vampire kids, shout out to Alex Lowe, great job by you, have been killing homeless for like weeks on end in Los Angeles. It's all over the news. Now, thanks to a private investigator's help, Elizabeth reunites with Valentino.
May I come in?
Only if you kiss me first.
But then she quickly gets back with Donovan. They show her in bed with Donovan right after the two had met. So you're kind of thinking that she's playing one or the other. And my money immediately when I saw this was on Donovan, that she doesn't really feel anything toward Donovan at all, and she's using him to get back at Ramona Royale. Okay, Finn, please don't watch this next part. That's right, a porn crew arrives at Hotel Cortez, and it sounds like this has happened numerous times before from Iris's reaction. Now, Iris says she's a fan of porn when it's tastefully done, and she even went to go see Deep Throat in theaters back in the 70s, but she has a problem with this particular crew. Remember, this Iris is different from who we were introduced to in the beginning of the season. Ever since she was turned, her temper and her fuse is much shorter than it used to be. So she channels her Dirty Harriet, nice reference to Dirty Harry right there, and she decides to kill them. Even her son Donovan is impressed.
But you have clearly come into your own.
Because of you.
Then we're told that Donovan is actually playing the Countess, that he's faking this kind of reunion with her, and he wants Ramona Royale to help him get revenge, that he'll never really fall in love with her again, and he knows that she's very selfish. I must say I was a bit surprised that Ramona Royale actually trusts Donovan at this point. He's all over the place, as we've seen throughout the season. We're led to believe that he's in on her plan as well as Iris, but remember, the Countess is a professional manipulator. She knows exactly how to play people against each other, and she has complete control over Donovan.
Is the life you're protecting really worth losing your own? Or your son's?
Donovan had nothing to do with it. It was Ramona Royale.
Speaking of the Countess, she's set to marry Will Drake, but Miss Evers wants to warn him before he does so. I love how she just popped into the room and just said, "No, don't do it. You're gonna die." That brings us to Miss Evers' backstory, and here we find out why she wants to warn Drake about the Countess. See, she actually was in love with James March back in the day, before he passed away. But March had his eyes set on the Countess. He didn't want anything to do with Hazel Evers. He, had a working relationship with her, but he didn't feel the same that she did about him. So she was filled with jealousy and rage and basically pissed off that the Countess kind of came in between those two. So we definitely have to add Hazel Evers to that list of people who want revenge in this episode. So the Countess wants to do a little bit of remodeling around the hotel, right, before she gets married. Cool. But she wants to use the secret wing, and she wants to make it even more fortified. And basically, with cameras, with more steel, with, a steel door, lock it up. So basically, she says she wants to lock up some of the artwork of Will Drake's in there for safekeeping. But we all know that that's not going to be used for artwork. They're going to put bodies back there. They're going to keep people hidden back there. Now, who does the Countess want to lock away for good? I would think James March. Now, we don't know the rules of Hotel Cortez if he can actually be locked up in one section of the hotel. I tend to think he probably can't. But she'll definitely want to lock up Will Drake back there, as well as possibly Ramona Royale, even Hazel Evers, Iris, anyone who's causing troubles for her. This is also when we get the first conversation between Elizabeth and James March after she found out about what he had done decades before.
Are you out of your goddamn mind? I'd kill you if you weren't dead already. You disgust me.
I would have expected her to go completely off the rails in her first meeting with James March after she found out what he did, but Lady Gaga played this very calm and cool. I was kind of a little bit surprised by that. Maybe she has bigger plans for revenge for him and doesn't want to kind of overreact at the beginning here. Now, I found this moment to be possibly the funniest of this episode when Donovan brings the other porn star to Ramona Royale's, tied up in broad daylight throughout her neighborhood, no one looking outside seeing, oh God, a porn star is tied up outside, and bringing them to the doorstep of Ramona. How does no one see this? It's the middle of the day. What are you thinking, Donovan? As I suspected earlier, Ramona is a bit tentative about teaming up with Donovan. She doesn't know exactly if she could trust him, and for good reason. He has such a tight bond with the Countess. She's kind of met him recently. Like, why would she listen to anything that Donovan says? But I guess that she has no other option available. There's no other way that she could get into the hotel. He tells her that he drugged the Countess, and he also brings her this gift, some fresh blood. So she says, okay, let's do it. Cheers. Now it's time for a flashback back to 1992 in Los Angeles, and we get some backstory on Ramona Royale. Now, this is after the Countess turned her and then killed her man, so she's kind of in the dumps at this point. She goes back home, she spends time with her dad and her mom, whom she hadn't seen in like a decade. After some time, unfortunately, her mom passes away and her dad gets more sick. He's suffering from Alzheimer's and his memory is just completely shot. Now, she tries her best to take care of him, but ultimately he keeps getting worse and worse. One night, some armed robbers break into their house and beat him up. Who the hell beats up an old man like this? Ramona should have definitely just tracked down those two guys and ripped their heads off. Instead, reluctantly, she turns her dad into a vampire, hoping that it will reverse the disease that he's going through. But it ultimately doesn't. It might fix like the, bumps, bruises, scratches, broken arms, all the physical, but it really doesn't affect the mental. It kind of keeps you in a state of the current status. So he's always going to have Alzheimer's. So he doesn't have to deal with that. He'll never really get better. He's always going to be the same and struggle to live a high quality of life. Now, it's unclear if those are the same robbers, but two other men are in the house and he actually kills them and feeds on them and drinks their blood. But ultimately, Ramona comes to the realization that she has to do something, that he can't be in this world anymore, that he's doing no good for himself or for others. He can harm people, he can harm himself, and it's going to go on forever. So she puts him out of his misery, basically, and it's a very sad scene. She drowns him in the bathtub, and she realizes that, it's never going to get better, so she has to kind of just move on without him and kind of put that in the past of her life. But a very heartbreaking and touching scene, and kind of show some context into where she is mentally and emotionally, and the people that she's trusted the most, and how lonely and alone she is. Oh, and also one funny moment out of all that, Ramona is not a fan of streaming services.
The internet, goddamn Hulu. My old movie streaming for free. For free?
That brings us to Alex Lowe, the world's greatest doctor. I'm joking. She comes home to a room full of vampire children who are 100% her responsibility. She's the one to blame for all of this. Little Madeline is the only one that has a problem drinking blood. Everyone else is super gung-ho about killing people and drinking their blood. Again, great job, Alex Lowe. You are an amazing doctor. Something tells me that these kids are going to be her downfall. Now, back at Hotel Cortez, Donovan and Ramona Royale are attempting to kill the Countess. He says that he drugged her with GHB. Ramona Royale goes in for the kill.
Ballsy enough for you?
Is it really that shocking, guys? I mean, we knew the Countess had talked to Iris earlier in the episode and found all about Ramona Royale's plan to kill Bartholomew. So, you know, her kind of luring Ramona Royale back to the penthouse was perfectly planned out, and she expertly used Donovan against Ramona Royale. Now, watching this all unfold, I would still be extremely cautious if I was Donovan. He still can't trust the Countess. She's going to use anything and anyone in her ability in order to get what she wants. She only cares about one thing, and that's herself. And like we see shortly thereafter, the Countess is back with the Valentino. Donovan is definitely a goner as well. And Elizabeth at this point doesn't even want to share Valentino with Natacha. She wants Natacha out of the picture completely. And I must say, I was a bit surprised that Valentino is totally down with this plan as well. I mean, he's spent an eternity with Natacha, locked up in that secret wing of the hotel, and now he just wants to get rid of her. Is he that loyal and in love with Elizabeth?
If something were to happen to her, could you go on?
I would have you to comfort me.
So let's recap the Countess's kill list. There's Will, Ramona, Natacha, probably Iris, probably Donovan, and of course, James March. But the most beautiful moment, of course, when the Countess and Will Drake get married. Ah. This scene also features one of the best moments throughout the entire season.
Anyone present knows any reason why this man and this woman should not be joined in marriage? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Yeah. Because she's a bitch with no conscience, no mercy, no soul.
Oh, Liz. Ignore her. She drinks. But the law requires a witness.
I just love Liz. That's it. Bottom line. Best character. Now on to the Hotel Cortez bar. Will Drake meets with James March finally. And, James March wants to offer congratulations to the new groom, but also wants to share some other news with him that, hey, Elizabeth has a child, and you're going to want to see this. So Will Drake sees Bartholomew, and his reaction, let's just say his reaction was not positive. Elizabeth sees this and flips out on him. She doesn't like how Drake is treating her son, which is understandable, but also it's a vampire baby. So she throws Drake into the secret wing of the hotel. Now I must say that Will Drake is pretty gullible. If you see someone locked up in a torture device, blood thingy, whatever that thing is, even if you feel like they're on your side, don't free them. Ramona Royale talks Drake into freeing her, and then she immediately kills him.
We'll starve. I won't.
Now I love the final shot of this episode, the Countess sitting on her bed, eating some popcorn, watching the security cam footage as Will Drake gets murdered. So the Countess can cross one name off that kill list, but there's still a few more to go. Hit me up in the comments and let me know your favorite moment from this episode. Now I gotta go feed Finn. Thankfully, he's not a blood drinker. See you guys later.